And who's tops the bottom line? Is it going to be James or is it going to be Dan? Tom, who you got?
I would go with James with the height, but I don't know. I'm thinking Dan might have a bit more control on the trampoline. He's looking like he's a bit more serious about this. But I might be talking nonsense. We'll see. It's all to play for.
All right, so we've got Shaquille O'Neal, we've got Kobe Bryant. That's the best way to describe it. Let's go into the challenge, guys. Tom, so you want to show the gentlemen how to do their challenge?
All right, I'll take a little bit of a run into it and just try and get height on the bounce as you go over. So 1, 2, simple. All right, then, guys, now you've seen how it's done, I'm going to hand you over to my referee, Ozzy.
All right, gents.
Good luck. Try not to do yourselves a nasty on the backboards. I'll see you lot later, yeah? Take care.
Wow, that was quite an exit. Well, gentlemen, it's James versus Dan. Best out of 3. You know what time it is. It's slam time, baby. James, do the honors. Let's get slam dunking.
Right.
James going out
and now
his
I'm nervous.
first shot.
Now I'm nervous. I'm nervous now.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
Oh, unlucky. Rebounds are off.
Maybe.
Dan stepping up. Fuck, is that allowed?
That's a fail.
That's a fail.
Already. He didn't even take a shot. Didn't even take a shot. Thank you.
1-0 to James.
Let's go. Pick up the ball.
One hoop at a time. Okay.
This time, if you take a shot, you might score.
Oh, unlucky. Oh, Dan nearly died there. Okay, so this is potentially match point.
You know what this means?
What does it mean?
It means that your fate is no longer in your hands. It's in my hands now. Oh, yes.
Can James close it out?
Oh, no.
Bad jump.
Did I miss?
Oh, he's let Dan back into the game.
All that power. What's it worth, James? What's it worth? Yeah, I've got this.
This is to draw the match.
Okay.
Great jump. No! Oh, no! Yes! Ladies and gentlemen, your champion, James Bardo. Post-match interview right now, straight, live. How are you feeling about that victory, champ?
It was an expected victory. It was one I couldn't lose. I feel like I owe it to Charles Barkley. He called me a brother.
From another uncle?
In Las Vegas, so I had to just demonstrate that I am.
You got that brotherly love in you. You got the height. Dan, like, yo, how...
Yeah, no, I don't have the height, or apparently the skills. Or, you know, I had the will, but I also had too much spit. Smashing my face into the perspex.
What happened with that second jump?
I don't know, man.
Is it a momentum thing?
I don't know what it is. I don't know. If there's a thing, I obviously don't get it, so...
What was your strategy, James? You were like...
Win. It's all the strategy I need, baby.
Winning. James versus Dan. This is getting intense now. James has proven he's definitely into this. He definitely wants to win. Dan's proven right now white man still can't jump, but I'm sure he's going to change that. Guys, stay tuned for James versus Dan, okay? I'll see you guys at the next challenge. I've been Ozzy the Lion-O. Guys, get close, get up! Hey, monkeys, come here! I got stuff to do, damn it! I got bills to pay, I got kids to feed. Get out of here! You ain't gotta go home, but you gotta get the hell out of here!
They are spreading all over the place. Neptune doesn't know what hit him. Fur is annihilating everyone. 3 headshots for Fur. He's like, oh, I heard you like pistols. Here's some pistols, here's some more.
Oh my god, Fur, please stop. About to make their way in, and they will do so. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
Maybe there's another plan for it. A superior plan. Pasha taken down towards Spencer. Seems I didn't even notice him there. Not playing with a 1-tap. 3 kills for him so far. I'm sure he's looking for the ace now.
So Johnny and Neo are fighting back. Csgo plan with the ace. Very nicely done indeed.
and Glaive's already dinked one down. That's the second rifle removed and number 3 low. But Lowell himself picks up an M4 after a triple Tech 9 play. That was impressive.
Looking very awkward at the moment. Shox is going to get himself through the smoke. A quick frag from him. Always finding those kills. Eventually traded though. And Shox goes in with the CZ.
God.
What a round from Shox.
They're all
AZK
here.
and Steel, where you are?
AZK is fragging noobs in Overwatch.
Okay. And Steel is a great guy.
We hung out. We went down a water slide at the summit.
Okay. Let's
Yeah.
go from strength to strength in his career then. Okay.
Exactly, exactly. Captain's Rake, though, will bring up that lovely bracket for you because Group A is concluded. Already we see SK get that free ticket to the semi-final. I'll say free. 2 best-of-1 wins, but they did end up top of their group. And if we could bring it up, watch this, I'll try and clap it. Oh, there it is. Magical.
Not wrong one, of course, but I'll take your word for it that SK won those games. They did. I watched it. They did. And obviously they had to go the hard way, remember, because obviously they had to play G2, they had to play FaZe, so that's certainly
big win.
No easy wins there. So I think you can see SK in big form already.
And here stand the scores on the doors from Group B. I mean, Fnatic and Liquid both falling. I think the biggest surprise there is Fnatic. Tommy, or did you have low expectations for Fnatic coming into this tournament? Where were they at before that best-of-1?
I mean, they were definitely favored to advance in second place, which, I mean, granted, tomorrow's going to be best-of-3, so it's going to be better for them. I think they probably are still likely to get out of this group, but I mean, it's not that big of a skill gap between them and Cloud9, for example, or even Liquid. So, I mean, weirder things have happened in the past.
Okay, so your eyebrows aren't completely raised, just maybe a half raise.
No, I mean, the thing is, these things happen, right? It's the first game of a tournament after a couple days of travel. It's a best-of-1. And upsets are always bound to happen here and there. The thing is, at least we have best-of-3s tomorrow, so we get more of a shot that the best team actually emerges out on top.
While we're on that topic, are you bored of the "it's a best-of-1, anyone can win" kind of cliche or saying?
That
I mean, luckily we've
death.
only got one more of those to go. So after that, it is best-of-3 the whole way out. The problem with it is, like, there's a level to which there's something to it, you know? Like, there's upsets you can have. Like, for example, would Cloud9 have won a best-of-3 against Fnatic? That's a bit more of a stretch, you know? Like, I think they definitely had a better chance getting the right map and getting that.
Sure.
To me, actually, I was making this point to Lobson when we were talking about this topic yesterday, actually. I actually think a bigger factor than just the fact you play one map is the veto system, because the veto system means you get 3 that you can take out. You can really stay away from tough maps. You know, if you play a best-of-3, yeah, you can ban one map, but I can pick your second worst if I'm such a good team that I have that map pool, you know? So, to me, it's just that makes it also kind of more of a middle ground. You tend to meet in the middle of the map pool, and then both teams have a shot, you know, whereas not always the case. That's why a best-of-3 isn't just 3 best-of-1s in the same sense.
Yeah, okay. Is there anything to add to that pile as we do venture into Cloud9 discussion?
Well, I mean, that was the thing that I was going to add, just to remind him of what he told me yesterday, because we talked about this last night, but we can talk about Cloud9 now. Yeah,
I mean, this is going to be interesting, Tommy. If I throw these names at you, we'll go from left to right. If you could just give us a little tidbit, a little profile for each of these and see what you think.
Sure. Well, I mean, Shroud was actually the star player of this team 2 summers ago when they made 3 rounds in a row to grand finals. He also seemed like a player, much like Skadoodle in the middle, who thrived in that one system where he had a very clearly defined role. He admittedly was very good in that role, but just never the same after. Automatic just broke through late last fall. Actually, this tournament last summer was his first good tournament. He played with TSM, the opposite Astralis here. That was the sort of beginning of the end for Astralis. Their one of the first tournaments with Gerby, and he still didn't work. Led to Carrigan getting ousted later on. Skadoodle, obviously, the man Duncan had a good joke about slightly earlier within the IBP context. One of the best operas in North America still. He's actually had a couple good tournaments as of recently. Stewie, probably their best player, and there's any question about that. Very versatile skill set. Their in-game leader, not really sure if he's he's just ready for that yet. He hasn't played for that long. But, I mean, they've been doing, I guess, reasonably well. I think there's still a lot to be desired if they wanted to become more consistent. And then Nothing was the last one there on the left. He's turning into a role player, basically, at this stage. He's sort of done like a bit of a Neo-like turn in the sense that he used to always be the star fragger in the old days, and now he's turned into sort of just filling whatever gaps need to be filled.
It's interesting as well, just while you're going through that roster, you talked about Shroud working very well within one particular system. This is when I have to ask, it was a discussion, I can't remember where it was brought up, a desk recently, where there was a discussion made that Shroud has all the tools in his kit to be an entry fragger.
Right, this sounds like a Dazed discussion. If you ask me. It's either Dazed or Sponge. These are the two who I think would come up with this.
Dazed. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Now, I mean, what is your your thoughts on that? Because he's got good aim. He seems to hit his shots very well. Yeah. A couple of flashbangs behind him, who knows what he could achieve.
Here's the problem with that. That's if you could control him, if you could mind control him or micro him, yeah. If you could just take over his skill set and do that, then you're probably right. The problem with that is nearly all entry fraggers I'm aware of, they naturally want to play that role, they embrace that role, they have an aggressive playing style anyway, and that's how you harness them. So the problem I have with him is he's someone who through his whole career, even when he was good, showed a tendency to be more of a passive player, not to be someone who wanted to initiate playmaking, more of a reactive player. So I feel like that's the problem. It's like sometimes a player, could have the skill set to do it? Do they have the mentality, though?
Do you think it could be taught?
I mean, the thing is, he did that to some extent 2 years ago. He wasn't the main primary guy on their team. Like, that was obviously Freakazoid.
Him and Freakazoid, sure, yeah.
But I do think Freakazoid's role was a bit overrated in the sense that a lot of the time he was actually just going in as meat shield so that Shroud could come in and then use his aim and get the kills. So, I mean, he definitely has the capability, but like you said, I think he does need to be micromanaged, and that's why I think he was so good in the Sean Garrett system, because he always knew he's going here, and he's going here, he's looking here, someone else has this.
Right.
It's very defined role, and that's
like
exactly when he knows exactly what to do at every point of the game, then he can just rely on that aim, which obviously is very good.
Well, the thing is, I actually did an interview with Sean Gers where he talked about this issue, and he said that specifically for Shroud, he used to, when he played with him, because I kind of asked him, you know, what do you think's happened to Shroud? Because he doesn't play with you anymore. Like, he's obviously decayed a lot as a top player. And he said within his games, he would purposely look early in the game to put Shroud in, like, aggressive positions, or if he knew that, like, they were on eco, you know, he would purposely send Shroud first to pick up lots of kills, so he could try and build his confidence up and make him feel like, you know, when it's a real gun round, you can be the aggressive playmaker, you can go in early and we'll follow you in, you know.
We had a talk about this, I think, in Stockholm when we did the EPL studio. We said, like, I think you always want to feed your best player. That's why you always have your best player be the aggressor on the anti-eco rounds on the T side, because that gets them in, like, the mentality where they feel like they can take over the game. And I think the context that we talked about this in then was, as a result, you turn that around. You don't want to be feeding Device. You don't want to be feeding Forest. Like, those are the guys you want to stay out of on your eco rounds, because you don't want to unleash that beast, potentially.
And let's meet the beast as well. This is the Astralis roster, the Danes that are on track to go ahead and take that bye to the semi-finals. Duncan, walk us through these names that almost every CS fan will be familiar with by now.
Sure, yeah. So we'll start on the left with one of the newer additions to the Kirby. I mean, actually, this tournament last year was one of his first, you know, he was in the first couple of few they'd had, and obviously wasn't very good initial period. Once upon a time, star player in Dignitas, and then now has emerged as kind of like a second, third star. It's more for his aggressive entry role that I think he has the key element in this team. Then we got Zipnix, one of the world's best players in clutch type scenarios, but in general, just in terms of very consistent decision making, can play almost any spot seemingly, and does it with like machine-like consistency now. Then you've got Glaive, the in-game leader, and I think one of the things that makes him very interesting is, like a lot of the Danish teams, the in-game leader in this team works as part of the entry duo. He's with Kirby, and they're kind of setting each other up to get those entries into sights and take over control of an area, and then the others come in. And then I think it was Dupree after him, was it? And Dupree is someone where, I mean, he's on camera now, so may as well. He's someone where, despite his AWPing in the round you saw before, lifelong rifler, someone who in general, I mean, he used to play the Kirby role, basically, what Kirby in config, and you see AZ playing that like second guy in or first guy in with the in-game leader. But now he's actually switched to being the offensive lurk. Like, that's the position he's playing in now. And instead you have, let me think actually, and then obviously Device is the last one, yes. And Device is someone where traditionally the star player, but it is worth noting in all of his teams, he's never been like the hard carry star player. He's the sort of player where he's always had a lot of talent and a lot of like very versatile players around him. And he's the star player in as much as he is the best player. He's the most skilled player, and that's the area he shines in. In this particular lineup, primarily as an AWPer, actually. AWPs almost every time it's available within his hands. And what you can see about the way they use him in this team is they don't go 100% the route of like the in-game leader sets you up. They don't go the route of saying you do anything you want. You can tell it's kind of like a kind of a tenuous marriage between the two, you know, where he's calling out some things, but at the same time, he has to do it within the tactic, and so they know where he's heading at the same time. And I think that marriage is actually part of what's allowed them to become such a good team.
Versatility, then, Tommy.
One thing that I'd add to how you describe Device is he's obviously the star player of the team, superstar, one of the best players in the world. But due to the way he plays, he's basically the guy that allows you to always be contending for events, but he rarely is the guy who puts you over the top. And that's why you have people like Kirby or Dupree who can have those sort of better games than they should on average, and that puts them over the top. Because the Device always keeps you there. He's always going to give you a chance because he's so consistent. But the way he plays, he doesn't often completely take over games.
Interesting. I'm going to be intrigued as we see where they do unleash Device and what map that will be.
And it is Cloud9 they're playing now, by the way. Team Liquid was the team before, but
Cloud9.
Understandable. So yeah, again, an obvious cobblestone ban. Like Astralis, basically, they've shown us they're only willing to play that if it's against FaZe, and even then, that was very different circumstances.
Last summer here, they did play that first round. They lost to Twist and Semphis' TSM. I caught Zipnix the next morning at breakfast and asked him, why'd you play Cobble? You never play Cobble. He's like, I don't know. Like, he sounded so broken. It's like a broken guy. It's just like, I don't. I think we just want to do, I don't know.
You have a nuts memory. put you two together, suddenly we're going to be talking about games from 2001.
No, that's Red Eye you're thinking of. Shout out to the old man himself.
No, I just, yeah.
We can roll the film back.
I have to praise it because I mean, I couldn't tell you the specifics of what happened in Jönköping. Never mind what's happened last, season 1 of ECS. Fantastic stuff. That's why we have these brains to pick. But already there goes Cobble. We have updated
it. That's the obvious perma ban always.
And I think actually Nuke is the right ban here because just as Team Liquid did as well. Like Cloud9 used to permaban Nuke as it was. They played it that one time against SK at I think it was Katowice, and they actually won on it, believe it or not. But that was because SK wasn't a Nuke team, so I think it's safe to go ahead and ban it. Astralis is definitely good enough to beat you on it. I think in terms of this one, Cash, it's a fairly obvious one for Astralis. It's right down there. And traditionally, a lot of the NA teams like Cash. It's always been actually a pretty good map for this team. And Cloud9, decent enough skill level. So you don't really want to just give them a skill map where there's more the random element,
That's the thing, right? It's an open map where you can take aim duels. You can always force aim duels. And it's one of the maps where, while Astralis does well nowadays, they rely on a small set of things that gets them by. Yeah. But that's not what you want to risk in a best of 1 when you can avoid it.
And I am sure Overpass makes plenty of sense. You kind of touched on that in the first veto.
And it's also just not been a great map for Cloud9 with this lineup at all, but especially like the last 4 to 5 months, it's been the one they've shied away from a lot. Banning Train here from Astralis is mainly because, again, if you notice, it's very similar to the veto that we had against Liquid. They've just forced Cloud9 to pick between Inferno and Mirage. Now, in that scenario, again, Astralis absolutely happy to play either. This time we're going to get Mirage, which is interesting. We're not going to have Inferno again. And I actually think, like, this is a good chance for Cloud9. It's a best of 1, getting it onto Mirage. That used to be their best map, actually, about, like, let's say, like 8 months ago, when you come around to, like, EPL time, was their best map. Same time, though, I think Astralis is also very good on this map because they're good on both sides.
The problem for Cloud9, I think, is their CT side completely relies on that mid retake that they do every round, where Automatic comes to middle, he's mollies behind the middle box, up T middle. Skadoodle comes out a window, and I think it's usually Jordan peeking connector, and that's basically the one thing that they do super successfully, and that's how they roll all the weaker teams, because that basically takes all the room away from you. But the problem is, if you're playing against a very tactical team like Astralis, they for sure know you're doing that. First of all, they for sure have a good idea of how to counter that, and then beyond that, it's getting rough. And Cloud9 isn't one of the teams that very structured. T side Mirage is a map where sure you can pug, but you really need entries to work with. You're going to get tons of after plans in A, but those are going to be really hard to hold. Surprisingly, actually, I thought that you might have wanted to play Inferno if you're Cloud9 out of those two, because they were the last one to veto, because they just saw Astralis play Inferno. So you have extra. Exactly. I mean, they were all playing. They were all watching the game. We're in the back room. So they definitely had an idea of what was going on. You can always figure out little things, and when you're playing the game yourself, you don't pick up at the same. You don't pick it up on the real time because there's no time to watch the game.
Adapt as well. So you have to do the same things again.
No time exactly, because it sounds like the players are already jumping in. So without further ado, who's that hiding behind the bike sheds? It's Handers.
What on earth?
I don't know. All Handers on deck.
Do you want to meet me there later?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds pretty sexy.
Listen, I'll go wherever you go, Hank. This is your town. This is your town. So.
Well, speaking of towns, we go to Mirage next, and we haven't seen that today, so that's quite exciting. Yes. I think Cloud9 actually done pretty well in this veto. There it is. The horns coming in, and you know what that means. The game's about to start. Are you excited?
I'm very excited. I think this is going to be an interesting game. I mean, best of 1, you'd think that maybe Astralis had a chance to win this, but I mean, they didn't exactly crush Liquid earlier. And Cloud9 have been looking good, and I really like their play style, and I especially think some of their players individually are really good, really fun to look at. So I think this is going to be a really good game. Grenade right in the face of Skadoodle, man. What an unpleasant way to begin a round.
Towards B we go. We normally discuss Mirage, one of the most predictable pistol rounds in this map, but it's going to be Shroud to defend towards the B side. He's stuck between a rock and a hard place here towards Shore and the apartments. Device takes him down, and there was a 4-man stack from the CT side towards A because it's so prevalent in the pistols. The bomb will be planted up to Stewie now by himself, dropped by Dupree. Glaves chiming in as well. That's round done. Skadoodle's low HP, like he said, nade to the face early on. This is a rough pistol round for the CT side.
Yeah, just not a good way to get started at all. And already Automatic's just... well, actually, sorry, Skadoodle's just making a run for it. He's got a smoke and a kit, I suppose. So just going to leave. I'm not sure why Automatic isn't just doing the same thing with the armor here.
That's $700 worth of utility, right? So it's worth saving, I guess. So we'll be using that for the next round. And I guess Automatic with the armor probably wants to save that, but they've actually left this... If he had a key... There is a world where he runs in and defuses that, but it didn't happen, obviously. Yeah. So it won't be going off. Dupree did check it towards the end, so I think absolutely fine. And there it is. Astralis run over the pistol.
Now, I want to point this out, because this is a hate of mine that I've been talking about for a long time. Shroud, He's playing that position towards the B hallways where he's supposed to jump in and get the information.
Yeah.
I can't even count the number of people who, it's like someone told them, you know, peek for information, and then once you see them, it's like, what's the plan then? Where are you going once you see that they're rushing you?
Bit of panic.
People don't know, you know, so then they just sort of, I'll go hide under the window or on site or by truck or by bench. Like, what you've got to know exactly in your mind, you know, okay, when I see them, I will pull out this grenade, I'll throw it, and then I'll go here.
You need to buy time, really, don't you? You need to, like, try and set up as long as possible. Try and aim for one kill at least, but can't really stand in the open like he did. He got stuck in such an awkward position there. No players towards shore, and here we go towards B. Astralis. Of a risky move going all in on this B side, but looks like it'll be working out for them. Device fight the first frag through the smoke. That's Clay, dropped by automatic. Now, a little chance to the CTs here, not much, but they have done significant damage. And it's going to be up to Skadoodle now, who pushes through the fire, trying to get the next pick here. Nothing with the PT-50 as well, but there it is. The headshot comes through, and Kiabi's dropped 4 and 3 in favor of the CTs.
That's a very good move from Skadoodle, pushing in aggressively and just hiding in the corner like that. Definitely working out for him. Nothing has gone down, and Stewie's next in line, so a bit of a shame for Cloud9. It looked like maybe that could have been a fun opening, but it's all gone. Dupree will pick up a couple of kills at the end, and that will be the round for Astralis here. So 2-0 in their favor and moving into the third round. Can't expect too much out of Cloud9 here, so, you know, just any amount of kills they can get around like this is going to be good.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all they're really aiming for, just try and take money out of the Astralis pockets here. Round number 3 for sure. Just default pistols. I think we've got automatic with the CZ. That's about it. He spends $800 in total in this round. He gets a smoke as well. Flashbang for Skadoodle. He's got enough for the orb, certainly next round, so he's absolutely fine with this current process. We've got 3 UMPs, a MAC-10 for Astralis, and around us should be a clean sweep, probably aiming to keep 4 players, if not 5 alive here. First player spotted, that's all CPL, and that's the smoke deployed already. So the fire spot go down here. Reloading, awkward time to glaive for better.
I like this crunch from Cloud9, and this is something that Lurpus was talking about. I think he meant later on when they have rifles.
Sure, but more aggressive stuff.
Yeah, but I still think it's a really valid point, and I'm glad that he brought it up because it's such a great feature of this map. I mean, if you can go for sort of slightly later mid-control on the CT side and just manage to crunch people out of there, that's really valuable. So, we'll see if it's going to work on later for them. I mean, they got 2 kills in the round. This is a big success for the American team, I would say.
Absolutely. Yeah, automatic. You can see him finding at least 1. Got the MAC-10 now. If he gets 1 kill with this, that would be a success. That's another $600 in the bank, right? It means he gets a nice full buy. A nice meaty one, Anders.
That's what we like here. That's what we,
I know I do.
That's what we want to see more of.
So he'll be on it. Like, the thing is, the MAC-10 is pretty much useless for the next round, right? Like, you don't really want to take that on a CT side to do a gun round. So you're just hoping that he can do something. I guess he's got the CZ as well. I guess that's sort of worth saving in the sense that if it all goes wrong, you can pull the CZ out and still have a powerful weapon as a sidearm. There's no point just running away and dying. You're hoping for an exit here. And you can see that to kind of confirm my point. He's using the CZ here as opposed to the MAC-10. As the CZ is going to be actually deadlier in this sort of scenario. So he will be staying alive. It doesn't look like he'll be hunted down. So saves a MAC-10, a CZ, no nades, but like we said, the CZ, I guess it's something. I'd assume he drops the MAC-10 here.
You would hope so. There really aren't many positions. I mean, if it was like a MAC-7 or something he had saved, you know, give it a shot and let him hold the B hallway with it.
It's got his place in the map,
that can work, but the MAC-10 maybe not so much.
Yeah, and that's gone now. So he purchases the M4A4 here, Shroud down to the FAMAS. No kits, no head armor, and as we've got 2 UMPs in the map. This looks like a straight-up set piece from Astralis and still lining up smokes already. These are the kind of tactics you want to be deploying on the first gun, right? Especially against the force by mentality of the CTs these days. Would have dropped one of these in, really difficult to hold off with lack of utility, and we see no head armor as well. These UMPs become AKs essentially that can run. So that's kind of cool for them.
3 men set up for the smokes. I always wonder why people don't use smokes that are further back. You know, they're so exposed when they're there by the A ramp.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess it's a bit of a gamble and maybe not such a big one.
You've got like a 5-second window, you've got the smoke outs. It's unlikely to get pushed to that point, but Stewie by himself. There's the UMP in action. No head armor, completely dropped at the start.
You say it here, it pops up there. The only saving grace right now, I think it's automatic with a huge flank coming in through T-spawn right now. That might be the one thing that could save them, but they need to stay alive with the rest of the force here and make this work.
With no kits, it's unlikely it does much. He might find 1 kill that gives his position away. We've got Skadoodle Orb though. That's something... Okay.
Yeah, it's done.
Doesn't happen.
We're trying to set that one up, Henry. I feel like we were doing a good job for a while there.
Doing really well.
But now it's just almost impossible. And actually, I mean, Shroud just trying the best to hide. I think he was probably waiting for automatic to pop up, and he couldn't do anything else, I think. So just very unfortunate. It's one of those things where once the flank is really happening and someone has got in through, you know, the enemy lines and he's in T-spawn, the rest of the team really need to be in on what the plan is and sort of think, all right, so now all we have to do is stay alive. You know, we've got to wait, we've got to coordinate this well enough that it works out. Otherwise, you're not really giving that guy a chance to ever make that work, you know.
Well, not working out so far for Cloud9, I have to say. Force buy, we discussed it in depth.